It's August 1st, 2021. I'm aboard my 1972 Allied Princess 36 Seaquestor out here in Southwest Harbor. And I came out here today because we went for an overnight last night, got back fairly early this morning, and there was no wind, so we motored back. And I checked our fuel log, and it had been 12 hours since we filled up of engine time, and over a year. So given that the boat burns a bit under half a gallon an hour and we only have a 12-gallon tank, I thought, wow, I might need a little diesel fuel. So I came back out here half hour ago with 5 gallons of diesel and filled the tank up, and it only took about 4.5. So we're using 0.375 gallons per hour for the last 12 hours, which is pretty good. But that just reflects how we run the engine on this boat. Usually we don't get much above idle because all we do is go on and off the mooring with it, and at the most run about a mile. So, you know, those 12 hours were probably 75% at idle speed, burning very, very little fuel. And probably 9 or 3 hours of it was up at 6 knots or so, burning 0.6 of a gallon an hour. So not much fuel. And since we've been on the boat overnight a couple times, I decided to fill the water tank up, and it wasn't down as much as I expected, only about 5 gallons. So I lugged 6.5 gallons out here, and the hard part is getting it on the boat. That's 52 pounds of water to heft onto the boat. But I got it out here and then only used about 5 gallons of it. So I could have left about 12 gallons of water back at the dock. Anyway, that's one of the downsides of keeping your boat on a mooring. It is kind of a hassle to get things like diesel and water. Now, I could take the boat into the fuel dock, but it's about low tide right now, and I'd probably get stuck in the mud if I tried, because I think the fuel dock has about 4 feet alongside, and I draw 4.5. So normally I just jerry can it out. 4.5 gallons for a year, you know, it's not worth going to the fuel dock once a year. And same with water. I filled the water tank before we left the dock back at the beginning of June, and we haven't used that much. So we carry on the water we drink and cook with, so all we use the water for is, you know, washing our hands and things like that. So we don't use that much water. Anyway, let's take a look at Southwest Harbor before I head back to the marina and go back aboard Tortuga for a little while. It's August 1st, so I'm going to have to bring my log up to date for how I used the boat in July. I've already finished it for this boat. Anyway, let's take a look at the harbor. Now, I'm in the cockpit of Seaquestor right now. So here's the harbor view. We're looking northeast. Big sailboat just showed up here in the last couple of days. I don't know if they are a seasonal mooring, if they're just visiting. And a couple lobster boats. Friendship Slope Hieronymus, that is a Ralph Stanley built friendship sloop from the 60s. It is maintained in as new condition though. Hinkley Pilot 35. And the white boat over there with the 3 outboards is a brand new Hinkley that they're sea trialing right now, and it is it's basically a Hinkley Talaria 34 that they hung some outboards on the back of, and I think they had that one in the dock the other day, and it only has about 1,050 horsepower in outboards on it. So the sea trial guy that I know said it'll do in the mid 50 knot range with those outboards, which is pretty fast. And a couple of other boats. There's a Luder's 16 there. and the Sabre 34. This is a Bunker and Ellis, one of the last ones built by Raymond Bunker for his wife, Susan Margaret, and it's now owned by Raymond Bunker's granddaughter. Over here, our neighborhood continues. There's a small Hunter up there that's new this year. And this is a friendship sloop. This is Old Baldy. It's built by a fellow named James Roosevelt back in the 60s. And that is the boat that Jarvis Newman used as the pattern for his 27-foot fiberglass friendship sloops. And it's now owned by Jarvis Newman's daughter, who happens to be Raymond Bunker's granddaughter. Boating is a little tiny bit inbred here on the island. And there are two more friendship sloops over there. I believe they are both Jarvis Newman 27s. And a few other boats. Sabre 36. That Summers here. What was it doing? And there's another Fleming coming into the marina. Yesterday they all left, and now several of them passed me on my way out to the boat. And here we are, back after our 360-degree harbor tour, if you will. And there's my dinghy with the electric outboard. The oars are out because I rowed out here, because when I turned the dinghy motor on, it said I only had 4% power left, which isn't enough for the round trip out here. It takes about 10% for the round trip. So what I'm figuring is I'll row back part way and then motor in as far as I can. I decided to row out because I was going downwind, and rowing back will be upwind. So I'll use the motor as much as I can, although I'm going to have to run very slow to get as far as I can on battery. I'm not sure why it was that low, because when we left the sailboat this morning, we had 45%, and that should have been enough for about 3 round trips. But for some reason, I must have gone faster than I thought on the way back to the marina this morning. Anyway, time to head back into Tortuga and do a little paperwork for July of 2021. Well, I'm back aboard my 1936 wooden powerboat Tortuga. I rowed about halfway back and then motored the last little bit in and arrived with 1% of battery remaining. So I think I need to pay a little more attention to just how much juice I have in my batteries before I decide to go out in the dinghy. I thought I had plenty, but obviously I didn't. Anyway, probably good for me to row out there and then most of the way back. So when I got back, I had about a half gallon of diesel left over in my jerry can, so I dumped it into Tortuga's port tank. So we have plenty of fuel on Tortuga for right now. At the way we've been running it, probably about 60 hours of engine time. So that's about 300 miles. So we won't need fuel before the end of the year with Tortuga, given how we use the boat. Anyway, just thought I'd close this out here aboard Tortuga. If you enjoyed seeing the harbor from my sailboat today, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you enjoyed the video and it will inspire you to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.